What's going on, peeps? Today's the day. We get to talk about comics. Woo! So as I've said in my previous videos, I am new to comics. I'm a new reader. I only got into comics last year. And I've built up quite an extensive collection for someone who's only been into it for such a short time. So today's video I will talk about my most valuable comics that I own. But before that, I just want to tell a quick story about how this all started. I'll try not to bore you too much, but I will show you some comics in this little story. But I do tell everyone that I am new to comics and I'm a new reader, but I was into comics when I was like a kid and a teenager and things like that. I used to have the most amazing Sonic the Hedgehog comic collection back when it was on Archie Comics. I had this folder, I reckon I had 70 issues in there, like I think it was 2 miniseries plus the main run. Obsessed with it, and it hurts so bad every time I think about it because that folder is just lost in the circuits of time, along with all my other cool comics. Like I was a very big Spider-Man fan. I still remember the first issue of Spider-Man that I bought. It was the Amazing Spider-Man number 400, I believe. It was the death of Aunt May. Had like a little tombstone on the front cover and stuff. And I read that and I was like, phew. Because like I used to collect X-Men comics and things like that because X-Men was just huge back then. Everyone loved X-Men. I was never massive on reading it. It just didn't really grab me as much as Spider-Man did. Like I read Spider-Man, I was like, wow, this is something else. This is something different. So I just was really into Spider-Man. That was during the whole Clone Saga, Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider, all that stuff. And I was just like really into it. And I actually think the only reason my comic book collecting sort of stopped back then is because, I mean, I got my comics from a newsagent and then all of a sudden the newsagent decided to stop selling comics. And the only way to get them was to go to your specialty shops, which was just, it's hard to get to when you're a kid with no money, right? Last year I was sick for a little bit of period of time. I missed a week and a half of work, which has never happened. So while I was sick, I was just trying to find things to keep busy while I'm just stuck at home. And I had this little folio of comics that I got from my parents' house because when they sold the house that I grew up in, they were like, hey, we got all this junk, go through it, otherwise we're going to throw it out. And I came across this little folio of comics. None of my good stuff's in there, but there was some alright stuff in there. So I'll show you some of that stuff. One of the books I decided to read was, actually, you know what, let me just show you some of the stuff that's in there. It's nothing too amazing, but just for example, Radioactive Man #1. I had a whole lot of Simpsons comics. I don't understand where my Simpsons and Batman comics went, but I've got this just sitting in this random folder. There's nothing that exciting here. Punisher issue 100. I think he kills himself in this one, apparently, or something. I can't quite remember. This is kind of cool. Mortal Kombat. Don't think it means anything, but Mortal Kombat's kind of cool. The coolest comic, I think, in this whole folder that I found was this. Again, on Archie Comics, Ninja Turtles Adventures, issue 1. I think that's kind of cool, in all honesty. But the book that while I was sick, I remembered so well from when I was a kid is this, Batman, A Death in the Family. I would have picked this up in 1989, I'm pretty certain, because 1989 was when the Michael Keaton Batman movie came out, and the world just went bat crazy, right? So I'm pretty sure I would have begged my parents to buy me this. Probably because of the imagery. I mean, it's pretty full on, which is why I chose to read this during that time when I was sick. I just remember it being a very full on comic from when I was a kid. 2 things I'll never forget about this story is the fact that Robin dies, and obviously it's very gruesome imagery that's in it. And I'll also never forget the bit where Superman shows up. Because back then I had no idea what the Justice League was. I was just like, what the hell is Superman doing in a Batman comic? That's crazy. And there's a bit where, and I still remember this from when I was a kid, like Batman punches Superman and breaks his hand, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. Always remembered that. So I read this and I was like, this is pretty good. I think I want to get into comics. And that's pretty much how it started. So anyway, that's my quick little crappy story. Let's talk about my most valuable comics that I own. Okay. So the first book I'm going to talk about today is the only book out of everything today, which is a little bit more modern. In fact, it did only come out last year. So when I was sort of starting to get this obsession with comic books, the first thing that really got me excited was the DC Black Label line that was being released. So I had to get Batman Damned the day it came out. I just had to have it. So, and it was also the day I met my good mate Mark from Big City Comics. Shout out to Mark from Big City. He was the first one to put them out on shelf. So I'm just like, yes, I'm coming in. Mark's a great guy. If you're new to comics, he'll gladly recommend something for you. He's not just going to say, hey, this is popular amongst people. He's going to ask you what you like, and he's going to recommend something that appeals to you. And if you're a long-time reader, he'll be able to hold up his end of the conversation because he is a long-time reader himself. But I was stoked to get this on the day it came out. So stoked, in fact, it was the first time I believe I decided to buy both covers, the Jim Lee variant. I don't do that often unless I really like the art, but I was so excited about this book, I'm just like, I'm going to buy both. And I'm so glad I did, because obviously what happened was I got home, I was thinking, you know what, maybe I'll wait till all 3 books come out and I'll just read them all in one hit. However, later that day I was like, I'll just read it now. The art is amazing in it. And obviously what happened was I'm reading, all of a sudden like, that's Bruce Wayne's penis. So yes, Batman's penis, first appearance. So what happened with this book is obviously the following day after release, Bat penis goes viral. And the following day after that, it's basically sold out worldwide, I believe. So I'm stoked to get this book. And I'm so glad that I'm not like a bandwagon jumper. Like, I legitimately wanted this book. I picked it up before I even knew there was a bat penis in it. The bat penis was just added bonus. So yeah, Batman Damned, it's one of my most cherished books, just because it was one of those ones where I was like, I really wanted this book, and then all of a sudden it sort of had some sort of value to it. So Batman Damned, amazing. Okay, so the next book I'm going to talk about is something a little bit more old school. In fact, I'll show you the first version I got of this book, which is right here, The Killing Joke. Whoa, The Killing Joke. So in fact, this sort of got me into comics. I ended up watching the Killing Joke movie, cartoon animated movie, before I started reading these comics. And then I found out it was based on a comic, so I was like, I should check that out. So I bought the trade here, which is fantastic. I really dug reading this. But afterwards I was reading some of the stuff at the end about the comic and stuff, and it mentioned that it'd been recolorized, and I was like, recolorized? And I just had to look up what the original coloring looked like, and when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, I need that. So I ended up getting this. In fact, it wasn't something I was going out of my way for. It was something I did want, but I really wanted a first print. I happened to get this, which is a second print of The Killing Joke. And the only reason I got it is because it was bundled with another comic, which is my next comic on the list, which is this. So I was chasing this comic for a very long time. I just couldn't get it for very cheap at all. And then I ended up getting a bargain because the guy was selling The Killing Joke second print along with this, which is Harley Quinn one shot. This is not her first appearance. Her first appearance was like, I can't even remember anymore. It was like Batman Animated or something, or Batman Adventures. This is the first appearance of Harley Quinn, I believe, in the DC continuity, whatever that means. But I was really stoked to finally get a copy of this. I still haven't read it because one day I decided I was going to read it, and I hate these hard sort of cardboard covers because when they open they're just so stiff and I don't want to bend it back. So I might buy the trade version of this so I can actually read the story, but really stoked that I was able to get a copy of this in the end. The next book is another Harley Quinn book. Another book I sort of had my eye on, selling for quite a lot, looking at it on eBay and stuff. I was able to get a bargain. A guy was selling, so I think I couldn't find this for less than $100 odd something Australian. I ended up finding a guy who was selling the first 6 issues of this. I got them for about $80 Australian, and that's a good price. So this is Harley Quinn issue 1 of her first solo series, I believe. And I really dig that I've got this. I haven't read it. I do plan on reading it one day. I know people are like, why would you read your comics? But hey, I buy them to read, alright? I read them once, I put them back in there, and they're still good. I'm very gentle. I treat my comics very gently, you know what I mean? So don't worry about those spine creases. This next, I just want to quickly show you this. This is not one of my valuable comics, but I saw this and I was like, I have to have this. So this is Harley Quinn issue 1 from her original solo series. And I picked up, there's like 1,000 variants of Harley Quinn Rebirth, and I just had to have the matching cover. Like, how good is that? Beautiful. Okay, we're nearly done. The last two comics I'm going to show you, nothing super fantastic. Which one should I show you first? I'll show you this one. So this is probably the last thing I've spent a decent amount of money on. I have most things that I want now, so I'm not going to go too crazy. I don't spend too much anymore on these single issues, but I just really wanted this because this DC Comics Presents issue 26. Sorry, I'm way off, aren't I? Issue 26, got it right. First appearance of Raven, Cyborg, and Starfire. And I've also got this. I bought this one first, which is the New Teen Titans issue 1. I don't think it's worth that much, but I just like the idea of having it because it's issue 1 of the New Teen Titans. I believe issue 2 is the first appearance of Deathstroke, which seems to be worth a lot more amongst collectors, but I'm very happy I got this, and I'm stoked that I got this one here, especially with obviously Titans being a huge show now. Hopefully these will just go up in value. Not that that's what I get them for. I mean, it is a little bit, but I just want these things. Alright, so that video was a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be. Just want to give a quick plug before I finish up. Check out the shirt. Pretty dope, eh? Check it out. It's got it's a band you'll never see in a comic because it's got Ghost Rider on vocals, Lobo and Hellboy on strings, and you got Spawn on drums. That's a band I would go see. A friend of mine, Nicholas, who lives in Colombia, actually designed this t-shirt. Nicholas, a good friend of mine who did art for my old band as well. Just thought I'd give him a shout out, and if you're interested in buying one of these shirts, literally you're not going to find this in a shop. He made this shirt. So I'll put a link to his little Etsy store, whatever it is. I'll put a little link up if you're interested in buying one of these, just because I think all artists and great art, deserves the money. So yeah, check out that shirt from my boy Nicholas. Alright, thanks for watching again. Moving forward, I will make a lot more of these comic book related videos. It's not what I want my channel to only be about. I mean, I think I'm going to do a lot of things, but at this stage, I feel like this is a very niche market. And it's probably one of the few things I can make a lot of videos about on, several different topics. So, if you're interested in watching more of these videos, give us a subscribe. Be the first. I've got none yet. Please leave a comment or feel free to. With any advice, tell me how I'm going. Tell me anything I could do better. Anything I'm doing wrong. Any constructive criticism is always good. Or just leave us some hate speech and tell me how much of a tool you think I am. That's cool too. I might leave a link to maybe my previous video if you didn't see me unbox those DC statues. It's probably the worst unboxing video of all time. I looked at that video yesterday. I've got more dislikes than I have likes, and I was like, what? How bad must I be to have more dislikes than likes? So yeah, if you're interested, check out the worst unboxing video of all time. Give us a like. It doesn't bother me that people have disliked it. I just feel like with more dislikes that the haters are winning, and no one likes a hater. So yeah, check that out if you're interested. Give us a subscribe, and thanks again for watching. Hopefully more of these videos will come out soon. Peace.